purpose of Safety Links is to provide the public with general safety-related information covering the home, businesses, and community with emphasis upon senior citizen-related issues, drawing upon existing programs currently being offered by federal, state, and local agencies. A broad-based, multifaceted array of subjects will be covered. In addition, contact information will be offered to those seeking direct help or support. And now, on with today's topic.
Hello, I'm Tom Hayes, and I'm here with a special edition of Safety Links, where we're talking about Sandy recovery. With me is a special guest, Ted Gooding, who is the president and CEO of O.C.E.A.N, Inc., and he is also the chair of the Ocean County Long-Term Recovery Group, and we will be talking about Sandy recovery. So welcome. Welcome, Ted. Appreciate your being here with us. I've known you with being involved with O.C.E.A.N, Inc. and New Jersey Natural Gas Company for many years with our energy assistance programs, Gift of Warmth and the like. And your group has always done a wonderful job. You have a great staff and really a stellar organization.
Thank you very much. And
on top of all those wonderful things you do with O.C.E.A.N, Inc. On a day-to-day basis, now since the Superstorm Sandy, you've taken on this role as chair of the O.C.E.A.N County Long-Term Recovery Group, which I know is a lot of work. Happen to serve on that committee as well, and it's a pleasure working with you on that. But
thank you.
There's a lot involved with that, and again, I don't know how you wear all these hats, but you do wear them well.
Thank you.
And so I had a couple of questions for you I wanted to talk to you about. In relationship to that, maybe you can let our audience know a little bit about what goes on with the long-term recovery. So first question is, who is the leadership, the executive board, and affiliate members of the O.C.E.A.N County Long-Term Recovery Group?
We have O.C.E.A.N Cohen, who works with Youth Services, Linda Gyimoty from United Way. I'm Ted Gooding, of course, and that pretty much comprises our executive committee. We have various nonprofits from throughout the county who are participating agencies that work with us, from Catholic Charities, Red Cross, Habitat for Humanities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's 9 different groups that we oversee within our committees, and they are responsible for steering us in the direction to best help our families and our citizens throughout O.C.E.A.N County.
Right, and those committees are like the case management and donation committees, right, and volunteer committees, construction, and all that. So I know there's an awful lot that goes into the long-term recovery group.
It's phenomenal.
It sure is. Now, what would you say is the mission and the role of the long-term recovery group?
Our primary mission is to try to have families not only get through the maze of getting through the insurance issues or FEMA or SBA, homeowners insurances, to help them get back on their feet. And whereas many families are trying to mitigate that system currently, we are there to not only offer support, but guidance and assistance in helping them meet the needs of their families and provide whatever funding we can as well after those other parties have been exhausted, i.e. FEMA, SBA, homeowners insurance. Our goal and mission is to get families back in their home. One of the largest gaps that we find right now is families in rentals and seniors. And they are having significant issues in trying to not only navigate the system, but get enough resources together to get them back in their homes where they can. And so there are issues all surrounding those kinds of things. And this is not a short-term issue. This is a long-term issue. And one of the most difficult tasks that we have is trying to convince our citizens that patience is the key to success in this regard, because none of these things that we're trying to get through will happen today. This will happen over a period of time. It could take from 1 to 5 years before some of these families get back in their homes, depending on where they live. I mean, with the redesigning of the areas and the maps that have been released and the governor's position on the V zones and what have you, it makes it very difficult for us to assure folks that there is light at the end of the tunnel. But we also know that if the track is paved and the faith is there, that we will get through this together.
Right.
And that's the goal of the LTRG.
Absolutely. And again, being involved with the group as well, I do know that the initial reaction is people want funding immediately. People want everything taken care of immediately. And of course, as members of the group, we'd like to help everybody immediately, but in order for it to be done right, as you said, it does take time, and things have to be put together correctly. And the long-term recovery group is really based on all volunteer efforts. all folks representing wonderful organizations that do a great job all on their own. But when we come together in this way, we're all volunteers trying to help make this process work smoothly, and we're taking guidance from organizations like FEMA and all that to help us, you know, so we're not recreating the wheel again, but we certainly want to create the wheel that really works best for our community. And certainly Ocean County was hit very hard, so we want to make sure we do this right, and I know you're a great leader and certainly pushing us in that direction, which is great.
Well, that's our goal. Our goal is to get our county back on its feet. Our human capital is essential to continued growth in recreation community like Ocean County. And when you look at the number of renters and seniors that were impacted, 30% of the families that were impacted by the storm were renters. 30% were seniors. Of course, and the 60% were homeowners. Doesn't mean they were not making a significant contribution to the growth and economics of our community. So in order to get that back online, there's a lot of work that we need to do. And there are a lot of resources we need: government, federal, local, volunteers, and everyone else who wants to lend a hand in getting us to the point where our families become self-sufficient again. Right. And that's our overall goal and mission. I mean, that's what we want to do. That's what we want to do as an LTRG.
Right.
Working with all the nonprofits, all the providers, all the funders, and we've had significant funding outcomes and outpouring over the last 6 or 7 months. To the extent that although it's not enough, it certainly will help us get started in trying to make that recovery worthy and one in which our families and citizens can be proud of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, who provides the funding for the long-term recovery group?
Well, primarily we've reached out to several foundations. Robin Hood has been a significant funder for our program at $2.5 million. United Way, New Jersey Natural Gas, Wells Fargo Bank, Ocean First, Ocean Federal, and other smaller green shirts, we call them the green shirts, come in and have given us money. And some of the local charities have given us money as well, PBA, Ocean, and other groups, as I said, banks that have come forward to give us money to help this cause. And we certainly appreciate their efforts. I mean, they've humbled us in many ways to know that we have folks who care about how we go forward within our community that are local people.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, folks that have been affected by Superstorm Sandy, how do they come to get funding and assistance through the long-term recovery group?
We have an application process. Our webpage is now open, oceancounty.ltrg.org, and they can go through that to get it. They can go through through the Red Cross or Catholic Charities to access our programs as well through their case management. And then once that's determined and we determine the extent of their needs, then we will do what's called an assessment. Based on that assessment and all the other resources that they've exhausted, we will then determine as to how much we can help them, how we can help them, or whether we can help them at all. Right. Some families we know will not be able to be helped because their homes are in places that it just doesn't make sense to invest in, because you're going to have to tear them down or raise them 12 to 10 feet in the air. So, is that something that we can support? Absolutely, providing there's enough resources to join with our resources to make it happen and make it work.
Right.
So each case will be viewed on an individual basis. We encourage everybody to apply, and if they in fact qualify and we have the funding to help them, our goal is to get the money on the street as quickly as we can.
Gotcha. Now, what are the eligibility standards and criteria to qualify for funding?
Well, first of all, they could be homeowners or renters.
Okay.
They have to have exhausted all other available resources. FEMA, homeowners insurance, if they have it. We're not pushing SBA, but we're asking that they suggest that they do that because there may be a grant behind that. And now with the $1.8 billion that New Jersey got from the federal government, there's also some state money that we are asking if those families qualify to try to access that as well. We would like to be the back-end provider. In other words, if a family has exhausted all of the funds and needs another $10,000 or $5,000 to make it whole, to pay for the work that needs to be done, we'd like to meet that. We'd like to make sure those families get that $10,000.
Right.
Our funders and grant makers have said that they will allow us to do that. There's a maximum grant right now of $10,000, but we believe that by putting other resources together within our community, we may be able to help up to $15,000 in some cases and more, depending on what those needs are.
Right.
So we're trying to engage everybody we can, every resource we can find, every funder that has money to put into this effort. We want to make sure that our families are exposed to that and they have an opportunity to get it.
Right. Okay. And like contact information, I know you gave the website. Is that the best channel for folks to reach out to try to get assistance?
Right now it is. Okay. And that's only because we've just recently got an office. We've recently hired staff. We have a construction appraiser on staff, super coordinator. We have a volunteer coordinator on staff that we've hired. We have an administrative assistant who will be taking most of the calls, and we expect to hire our case manager coordinator within the next week. So once we're fully staffed and our offices are completely set up, and although we have space, we're painting now, putting in phones, we will make the public fully aware of all that information, and they will be able to access it pretty much on demand.
Right.
To get out and have our case manager, construction appraisers go out and review their situations, along with the volunteer groups that are coming in town, the green shirts in particular, to do assessments, so that we can determine who can be helped and to what extent we can be helped.
Right. And again, in this whole process of creating a long-term recovery group and getting to this point, which I know we're all excited about this particular point in time, because now we're really getting to where the rubber meets the road to have all this put in place. And it takes a while to get that funding and get the approvals to be able to spend it, and then go out and actually hire folks, which takes time. You need to actually, you know, send out the call for folks to apply, and then go through all those applications, which I know is a yeoman's job. But done a great job. I know we're getting there and moving along. So the website, could you tell us the website again, just for folks that want to reach out and contact the Long-Term Recovery Group? OceanCountyLTRG.org. Great.
OceanCountyLTRG.org.
That's great.
And we have folks that are monitoring it on a daily basis. We're starting to get some activity, and we've also actually pulled some cases off that we're now putting into case management for review.
It's great.
So it's starting to work.
I know one of the other issues that we all are concerned about, that as time goes on and, you know, Sandy's come and gone, the event, and, you know, people's, as all of us, our memories start to wane. We know there's going to be continued needs going on long into the future for years to come. So we're always going to be out there, so we want our folks to know that when we go out and ask for more assistance, maybe more donations, that they realize that this is a long-term recovery in the strongest sense of the word, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be years before we're really able to take care of everyone that needs that assistance.
We believe we're 5 to 10 years out.
Okay.
And we believe 5 years is modest, to be very honest with you, and because we've done a preliminary community assessment working with the local municipal officials. The police chief and I jumped in the car about a week ago and looked around, and the devastation is beyond apprehension in many cases.
Right.
And we know that these families, we have families that still have not been back to their homes yet because of various issues. And so we know that when they get back in their homes and they start to assess their own particular situations and how they can start to their recovery efforts, that it will be monumental to them. So that's why it's imperative that our case managers at the LTRG be on hand and put together a empathized approach to helping our families get through. Patience is key here.
Right.
And you know, we can yell and scream all we like, but if we can't move the system and we bog it down in rhetoric that doesn't get it done, then we haven't accomplished our goals here, which is to get folks back in their homes as quickly as we can with the least amount of headache for them.
Right.
And that's why we've hired staff. We're depending on volunteers. We're working with the pros, the Red Cross, Catholic Charities, United Way, and others who do this on an annual basis to work with our families to help them get through this recovery effort.
Which is great. And again, it takes, you know, I know one of the other committees is communication.
Absolutely.
And that's such a major role in all this, and having the media outlets involved and on our side helping us to get the information out correctly, responsibly, and in a timely fashion is always an important key as well, right?
Without question.
And again, the website is wonderful because that is a place now where folks can go and get information. I know the list of all the organizations that are involved are there, and all the different programs and how to apply and all that information, which is wonderful. Now that, you know, the storm is over, we've all got our power back and all that, people can get onto that website and check it out. Again, I really want to thank you for your time. Again, working with with the gas company and the years of working together with your organization has been fantastic. And you're a wonderful leader and doing a great job with the Long-Term Recovery Group in Ocean County. And I wish you continued success and all your great efforts. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
And our community appreciates it as well.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, you're looking for help with your mortgage. Worried about foreclosure? We can help you keep your house. All we ask for in return is that you submit to our plans for galactic domination. Sign.
If you're facing foreclosure, talk to the right people. Speak with HUD-approved housing counselors free of charge at 888-995-HOPE.
Hello, my name is Tom Hayes, and I'm here with a special edition of Safety Links, where we're going to be talking about Sandy recovery. And I have a wonderful guest with me here today, Linda Gyimoty, who's the Executive Director of the United Way of O.C.E.A.N County, and she'll be talking to us about the Sandy recovery efforts. Welcome. I appreciate you being here, Linda.
Well, thank you for having me.
Certainly. You know, certainly in my role with New Jersey Natural Gas Company, we work with United Way, and I serve on your board and all that. But I really have to say the organization does wonderful work throughout the county, and you are an excellent executive director and have a great team that really does wonderful stuff. I wish the whole community knew as much as I did about all the wonderful things that the United Way does on a regular basis. So you are to be commended for all your great work throughout the county.
Thank you.
It was great. And on top of that, you have this other hat of being involved with the long-term recovery group of O.C.E.A.N County. So I just, again, applaud you for all your great effort and all the hard work you do, again, for helping the folks of our wonderful county, of O.C.E.A.N County, and just making sure that people are getting the assistance that they need when they need it. First of all, I'd like to ask you, in terms of being the Executive Director of the United Way of O.C.E.A.N County, what do you find your role in that position?
Well, I think that United Way of O.C.E.A.N County, the thing that's really great, I think, about United Ways in general is that we mobilize the community. It's about responding to needs in our community, about responding to residents in need, and also about building our community so that we have a better quality of life for the people who live in O.C.E.A.N County. Right.
That's just great. Now, what does the United Way do in the community in terms of that, you know, responding to that community? Well,
I think that, and I think the reason that we're so uniquely suited to help during recovery and relief efforts is that we do a couple of things. We work with the business community, we work with the nonprofit community, we raise funds to distribute to the highest need impacts in our area. And we do this in a couple of real specific ways, through helping people to give, teaching people what are the different needs, what are the agencies that can respond to those needs, and sharing, asking people to share donations. Advocacy, lend your voice, help us make decisions that will improve our community, and of course volunteerism. And so all three of those issues have become absolutely critical as we move forward in recovery.
Right. Now, it's been 36 years that the United Way has been in place?
Yes, yes. And so I think that's the other piece, is that, you know, we're not just a new organization coming in. We're not in response to the storm that's occurred. We have our roots here are in the community. We have been working with this full range of businesses and nonprofits for many, many years. And we're going to be here long after, hopefully, after recovery, when this new normal becomes the real normal, and where people are at least as whole as we can make them.
Now, outside of the Hurricane Sandy long-term recovery efforts, the United Way is kind of focused more on community impact areas. Can you talk to me a little bit about what those impact areas are?
We do programs and funding in the community around three particular areas: education, income, and health. Education, it's about, what we know is that if we can raise the educational standing for our children, our communities are stronger, poverty decreases, violence decreases, all kinds of issues get better from education, and so we fund programs under that. Income stability, it's not a surprise that that directly relates to poverty issues, but also it's about encouraging self-sufficiency, teaching people skills, helping them bridge where those gaps are so people can achieve the kind of stability that their families want and need. And that includes things like shelters and food programs and all kinds of employment services. And then, of course, health is the third initiative. We have a very significant senior population in our community, but we have lots of different folks who access to health care can be a challenge. And so we do a number of different programs under that. But that's also a category where we look at addiction programs and counseling services, working with people with disabilities, working with veterans and seniors. All kinds of services fall under that.
Right, and as a representative of O.C.E.A.N as well, and who, you know, we deal with our mature adults, we certainly appreciate your efforts in that area as well. And serving Monmouth and O.C.E.A.N counties, you know, so we know there's a lot of mature adults in our communities, and again, we appreciate the United Way's efforts in those areas. Now, switching gears back to the Sandy recovery efforts. How would you say your role has changed due to the Sandy recovery?
Well, I would say that it intensified, no doubt about it. I think that the scope of the disaster has O.C.E.A.N County got hit really hard, and we were not as prepared as we had hoped we would be. And there's a lot of lessons that we'll have moving forward. But one of the things that we did right away was to use some of the resources and pieces in place. We had community trust. People knew our name. People from across the country knew the name United Way, and so there were groups that in the early stages wanted to find ways to donate, and so we became a conduit to connect groups from across the country with materials and supplies and donations. We also work with United Ways across the country with donations, and so one of the ways is that we brought dollars into the community to help, because we know that we're going to need more than what we can create here in our community to solve this problem. There are thousands and thousands of people with unmet needs and millions of dollars of resources that are going to be needed to bring our community forward. And so we just were positioned well, I think, to do that. I think we're a small team, and I think the challenge has been how to do that and not spend any money on anything but recovery, and I think that's been a real challenge for everyone. I think the really amazing thing is that we've had an opportunity through long-term recovery to work with. There's over 140 volunteers who are working with the O.C.E.A.N County Long-Term Recovery Group, over 90 different organizations and groups, and that doesn't even count everybody. I'm going to tell you there's more than that, because it doesn't even talk about the hundreds of people in our faith-based communities and in our local communities who've done amazing assistance, all the small groups, all the big groups. Everybody really has come together to say, how can we coordinate this massive solution that we need on such a large scale in our community.
Right. And I think, you know, up until recently, it's totally volunteer. Finally, we're at a point where we're able to hire a few folks that that really need to be there full time to really manage this effort going forward with all the case management, the construction, the volunteers, the donations. It's an awful lot, and I really commend the whole group of volunteers that make up this long-term recovery group for all their efforts getting us to this point. But it needs to shift and go forward, and you know, there's a lot of folks, as you said, that need that help, and and we're all desperate to get that help to the folks, but we just want to make sure it's done right and correctly, and that record keeping is in place, and you know, that nobody can look at this and say, well, you know, you rushed to judgment and now we've created a mess. We want to make sure it's done right and proper, and that, again, the folks that need the help get the help.
Well, I think that's partly why United Way of O.C.E.A.N County offered to be the fiscal agent, is that we already have done grant making and supportive services in the community, and so we became the fiscal agent for the O.C.E.A.N County Long-Term Recovery Group as an incubator, knowing that eventually it would need to become its own organization, bring in some additional resources. We would need staff, but until that point, we wanted to lend our voice, our name, any kind of additional staff support that we could to help mobilize this forward. And it is a huge initiative, and I think the thing is amazingly difficult as that process has been, just in terms of workload. And I think what has been equally amazing is the generous spirit that we've had, and the ability to work with so many people who say, I can't do that, but I can do this piece. And so if you can do that piece and this other organization can do the other piece, then we really can stretch our resources in a much more effective way. You know, I've recently been using the expression that if you want to go somewhere fast, go by yourself. But if you want to go far, you have to go together. You need to have more people moving this process forward, because the scope in O.C.E.A.N County, the damage in O.C.E.A.N County has been pretty tremendous, and our residents are still suffering. And so we are moving from the relief efforts, the early relief efforts, to even the early rebuilding, and now we're talking what are the long-term recovery needs for people, and how can we use volunteers, how can we use donated materials and dollars and create the kind of puzzle piece that will move families forward.
Right. And knowing, you know, it really makes sense in terms of United Way, and knowing your slogan to live united really makes sense in a situation like this, right? We are all united to try to really help everyone, and even the folks that need the help have been united to try to help themselves and get involved. You know, they may not have their home ready, but they're still out there volunteering and doing what they can alongside us, right? So. Oh, absolutely.
You know, there are a lot of people who are participating in long-term recovery who are still dealing with their own recovery needs or their families. I think it would be very difficult to find even one person in O.C.E.A.N County whose life has not been impacted in some way by the storm. And so the good news is that United Way, you know, we could never pull off something something like this, just one agency, but we don't have to. We literally are working with hundreds and thousands of people and these amazing leadership organizations. I know you were talking about the Red Cross, and we were talking about O.C.E.A.N. Inc. and Ocean First Foundation, and the amazing funders. The Robin Hood Foundation has been such an amazing partner for us in terms of bringing dollars to our community.
Really
New Jersey Sandy Relief, Hurricane Sandy Relief has been a great grant maker for us, and a host of other organizations. So it's been a pretty amazing experience that way in terms of the might and process and the challenge of bringing all these views and how to make it all work and move this entire process forward. And it's difficult, but it's been amazing.
Now, if folks wanted to get in contact with you and with the organization, do you have some contact information you can share with us?
I do. Our phone number is 732-240-0311. That's United Way's phone number. Our website is www.uwocnj.org. And there are links on both of those things. There are also links to the Ocean County Long-Term Recovery Group. Because that's really what we want to ask people to do, is that, you know, we're the fiscal agent, and that just allows us to do some communication and some support. But now there's staff in place. There's an office that we're opening. There's all of these pieces in place so that the incubation can really help us and help the volunteers fill all those pieces that we need to move this whole process forward.
Right, which is great. I also want to thank you for helping us out, New Jersey Natural Gas, with getting materials and things like that over to Long Beach Island. As you know,
that's me. I need to thank you. You were instrumental in doing this amazing project for people on Long Beach Island who had electricity but no heat, and so your organization put that whole project together. We assisted in what small way we could.
Well, that's important. That
and we appreciate that.
This is what we need. It helps us get things through and all that. So it's great. And again, it's always great having partners out there in the community. All of us working together. I think we all know each other. We're like neighbors, as opposed to a business, a nonprofit. We're people, and we're just people helping other people.
Exactly.
We happen to be fortunate to be in positions where we can mobilize more people to help, but again, it just comes down to people helping people. And again, I just want to make sure folks have that phone number again, that if you wouldn't mind.
The United Way number is 732-240-0311. And if you call us for information related to any of the programs, because we still fund a range of care in the community, what we know is that all of our services are needed to help people with other issues besides construction and money related to home building. There are all kinds of mental health issues that may be coming up, or just, as people are trying to struggle to get past this, there's other needs that they have in the community, and so we would encourage people to call that number.
Right. Now, just a little question personally. You've been involved in the nonprofit arena for many years.
Yes.
And I know you had told me a little story. I heard it at an event recently, how you got involved. Can you give me a quick 10-second kind of description of how your mom got you involved?
Well, I had an opportunity. I grew up in the Bronx, and my mother, as a young mother, decided that we needed to have a safer place to play for her children and all the children in our neighborhood, and so she created a play street in the Bronx. And so thinking I was only helping my mom, not realizing, and I'm sure she didn't realize, that we were doing community building, we were doing crime prevention, we were doing food distribution and crafts, and we literally closed a city block, and so she sort of started me on my path to service. And I think one of the things that, and I didn't know that's what it was then, of course, but what it showed me was that it really takes a small idea, an opportunity, a connection, that we really can do lots of different things to make our world better for each other.
Which is great.
Thank you.
And again, I really appreciate your time being with us and going over this. It's very valuable, important information, and the role that you play with the United Way. So, Linda, on behalf of all of us at O.C.E.A.N, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.